I simply couldn't do it. I couldn't go the entire weekend without giving everybody an update. We've been doing this so long that it's become part of my Sunday also. So regardless of where I am and what I'm doing, I always feel it important to let everybody know what's going on at the stable. So I thought I'd make short videos this week. I do want to talk about the 2-year-olds quickly, where they're going, where they're at right now, what they're doing this week, and where I see them going over the next few weeks. That video may be a little longer than Amy might want it, but long enough. 3-year-olds I'll run through quick. You guys get a feel of what's going on, who's moving, who's coming in. We get a couple of new 3-year-olds in the barn. I believe a new 4-year-old also. So lots to talk about, but I am going to try and condense it, right? I do want to do a video. I do want to do a few videos. I'm not going to do the barns this week. I'm not going to do a top 10 list or anything like that, but I do want to bring you all the information you should have. So our opening video is the most important one this week. First off, we're going to talk about some new acquisitions. You guys saw that we had moved some horses out, and we're going to continue to move some horses out that aren't going to be effective. But our mission is always to bring effective horses into the barn, horses that are going to turn into hopefully better horses for us. And a lot of times you'll see us shop in places where a perfect example is a Dustin Hanover, right? And I hate dropping names of horses we did well with because there's lots we didn't. But in regards to a horse like LD's Patrick, there's a horse that didn't fit into one program that really fit into our program. And I see a lot of the same similarities between him and a horse like Dustin Hanover. Now, Dustin Hanover, keep in mind, LD's Patrick had already trotted in 55, 56 and was winning races or won one or two before we got him. So there was a little stronger foundation there. But a Dustin Hanover, here's an $80,000 Father Patrick yearling, good-looking horse. It seems like he has some go, but in the owner's statement, quite frankly, from Nifty Norman and John Fielding and I forget the other gentleman that owned the horse. From the owner's statement, it was clear that this was not a Grand Circuit horse. They did not feel that this horse was going to get them where they want to be, so he wasn't for them. Very similar to our situation, but on a much higher level. If we started the stable 15 years ago, maybe these are the statements we'd like to be making in another 7 or 8 years. But for right now, Dustin Hanover may not serve their purpose, but he looks like a really, really good fit for what we're trying to do. He has talent, he has speed. He's already shown a little bit in very few, about 4 or 5 starts that he's had. He's shown a quarter in 27 a couple of times, 28. So there's speed there. It's there, just not enough for what they want. But are we able to extrapolate what he might be at the end of his 3-year-old year? If we take our time with this guy, race him in the maiden, there are Stallion Series events coming up, but he's going to have to step up his game. He's going to have to go out and wow somebody. So I thought, looking at the timeline, I'm going to be in Ohio Tuesday or Wednesday. Let's ship him to Ohio first. I can school him off the gate at Northfield Park. I can make the changes I think he needs. Now, there is a difference between the surface and obviously the size of Northfield in comparison to Mohawk, so to speak. But I'll have a general idea of what I want to do with this guy. So ship him into Ohio. He'll be there. I thought he was going to be there yesterday, but there was an issue getting him from New Jersey to New York on a truck in New York and back to Ohio. So there was a little bit of lag time and we couldn't make it work. But he'll be there tomorrow morning. He'll be tomorrow afternoon around noon. He'll be at Jason's Barn in Ohio. They'll jog him up Tuesday, Wednesday. This horse that raced 3 days ago anyway. Jog him up Tuesday, Wednesday. I'll go behind the gate with him a little bit, aim for a mile and 2-2 or so. Get a feel for how I feel he looks and if we can make any changes that may or may not help him. Keep in mind, he's coming from a top stable. So we're going to tread lightly. There's going to be no major aggressive changes made right away. Just want to bring him along. This is a horse that we are willing to look at the long game on, or at least a much longer game than what Nifty and his clients were willing to do. So the story for that horse fits what we're trying to do perfectly. Frosty's Trouble is going to race this week. Now, when we bought him, I said, yeah, we'll get him in right away. We'll get him into that Buckeye Series and get him going. And then it dawned on us that when we got him, maybe he wasn't quite as ready as we thought, or maybe Steve thought he was. And Mr. Carter, I know we had some troubles with 1-2 Skip a Few, and with Purple Laura having she tied up, but 1-2 Skip a Few for sure. You saw the progression in her as we got her racing. I don't think that filly was ready to go when I said she was, and that I think may be the problem with a couple of horses, and one of them being, it seems at least to Jason. Now this is all from Jason to me to you, I haven't sat behind Frosty Trouble yet. My first start with Frosty will be sitting behind him in a race bike, in a race situation, this coming Wednesday, I believe. And another new is he a new acquisition? Not really new. He's returning. First Glance is back, and I had somebody. It was great. I had a wide array of emails about First Glance. The first couple were thank you for bringing him back. Now, these are always stipulations. A little caveat to purchasing First Glance, and I told everybody this when we got him. He's going in a claimer, so don't think that we're going to bring First Glance back and race him up and down the condition races. He's going in where he can win. I bought First Glance because I still saw the horse he was, the horse he could be, and he's pretty much there right now. And classes we can race him in. That 15 condition claimer in London Flamborough is a good fit for this guy. Now, he's got no money made last 10, so I thought we'd race him in Plainridge. Mark said no, because he shows a 25 claiming condition for 4-year-olds his last start, they wouldn't let him drop right to the bottom at Plainridge. A lot of tracks, and in fact, Northfield did that. I said Northfield wouldn't, and they did. They looked at his races and said, I can't let this horse in the bottom grouping. So he's actually in the second bottom grouping this week at Northfield Park on Tuesday. Just looking to get a couple of tighteners and get a feel back for First Glance. He will be returning. He will be returning to Mario's barn when he comes to Ontario. And he'll be in Ontario very, very soon, I suspect. We'll see how he races on Tuesday, and we'll go from there. I don't really have a lot of interest in racing a horse for $4,000 anyway. It was really just an assessment race, I guess, for us with First Glance on Tuesday. He'll be returning, I suspect, very quickly to Ontario. But we bought him to race where he can win. So everybody knows that going in. I don't want anybody saying, well, let's not race him in a claimer. He's going in a condition claimer right away. And I think he'll be fine in there. But again, we're constantly assessing. I'm looking at my iPad to look at the horses we're about to talk about, where they fit, where they don't fit. A horse like Brave World, we're running into a tough spot. This horse racing great. The reality is he's not really doing that well, and it's not his fault. Draw the outside, get roughed up, but these classes are going to continue to go faster and faster and faster. Now, if we believe, I want to have a discussion with Harry about this. If we believe he can do in the numbers of 5,000 or 6,000, fine. But after that, we need to find a spot where you can race him consistently. Now, is that in Plainridge? Is that in Saratoga? Is that in Michigan? He was there once already. Is that out in Illinois? Is that in Ohio? Or is that right here in Ontario? Well, I'm not in Ontario now, but in Ontario. This is a very real discussion. We have to have a very useful horse. We have to find a spot for him. We can't continue. There's nothing I hate more than this idea that you climb the ladder a bit and then, just got to waste 2 or 3 races and waste some time and get your way back down where you can do. I have no interest in that. I want to find a spot where we can do with Brave World almost every week. So that's important to me. It's important to us. It's important to the model that we're trying to put forth for everybody. So First Glance will be coming home soon, as I said, and racing in that condition claimer level. At the track, pretty good week. We still have the National Seasons mark. National Seasons mark with Taiwan on 53-3. Man, she looked bionic in the mile. James said she jumped on her foot a little bit in the post parade. I think that might be why you saw her running in a little bit more than usual down the lane. Now, I'm trying to convince James to go next Saturday and drive. First, he was like, I definitely want to go driver. He's like, Anthony, all the finals for the SBOA are Saturday night. If anything happens with the flights, I'm screwed. So there's a number of ways we can attack this. I told James I don't think a lot of people will be going to the Meadows. There might only be one division, which is go for about 150,000, I believe, or 130,000. If that's the case, I'm sure we can lure James away for the afternoon. I have a flight I can book for him. It gets him to Pittsburgh International Airport, which is about half an hour-ish away from the Meadows, and it will get him back out at 4. So if the race secretary can get the horse in early around in the first 4 races, James should have tons of time for that transition. I understand his trepidation. I understand he doesn't want to miss getting back for all those big races. There could be delays. He could get traffic. Who knows? I get it. But if the race in Pennsylvania goes for enough money, then I'm sure James would be at least thinking about being lured away. So I think otherwise, I'm happy to go drive the filly. I mean, I've driven her most of last year, myself or Hunter Myers did. And she's a rather easy filly to drive, really easy on herself, just a sweetheart to drive, and has been an absolute powerhouse this year. So super happy with what I've seen from Taiwan on. And I wanted to wait to reach out to some of our clients about a horse like No Free Lunch. I thought that maybe he would have to move somewhere also. But man, 50-2, 26 flat on the end of it last night, and closing in, he's getting better. And this is the thing that even I have to pay close attention to. You're not going to have these horses just jump forward these big miles. It's going to be gradual, right? He looked like a 10 or 12 to 1 horse coming in. James drove the horse perfect. He was launched down the lane, closing hard into speed. 26 flat a mile, 50-2 is a big mile. I really don't see a need now to move No Free Lunch. Yes, I'm not happy with 10 to 1 going on the track and closing in for thirds, but some of those horses are going to move out of there. Let's just keep an eye. Let's just go week to week with No Free Lunch. If he gets in next week and gets run over and finishes 7th, fine. Then we can look around North America for where is a really good place for No Free Lunch. But I find it really, really difficult to look at last night and say, oh, there's a horse we got to move. I'm not there. Not there at all. Almost There, boss. Great race this week. Kind of a tough drive. A little tough drive. I bet you Scotty wishes he had that one back. That was some kind of vicious move in the middle, at least 3/8 of the mile, if not the middle half of the mile, and then finished up good and just got picked off the wire. I was surprised to get over half that well, and very, very happy at the same time. So it's going to do us some good this summer, I think. Really happy with what I saw from Almost There Boss the other night. He raced absolutely fantastic. Bolt Power raced good. Brenda's out there. She watches our videos. Bolt Power and even your little filly, even Sophia, raced okay. She definitely, 3rd and 57 was a good mile. She probably paced 58 and a piece, 59. But Bolt Power 53 and 4, man, he looked real good. Very impressed with Bolt Power. We knew he could get over half anyway. He's built for a half. He's a half-mile track horse. He's got some little aches and pains and issues that I thought would maybe keep him from being a full-time half-mile horse. That'll be up to Harry. Harry's going to have to keep an eye on that and make sure that he is okay. And then LD's Patrick was spectacular the other night. You see the growth in this horse. And I said it last time, maybe the time before, when we first got this horse, he was a runaway on the front end. Now you see his ears prick and move around when he's on the front end. He's smart. He's understanding what you're trying to do. And as James stole away that half, I looked at my father who was up. He looked at me and said the same thing. He said, they might out-trot him on the end of it, right? He looked fantastic. Just the growth of this horse is impressive. The fact that he's raced for so long, so hard, and still doesn't appear to be tired is amazing. Who knows? Who knows? This horse went from, let's buy him, see if we can patch him up, fix him up, and flip him over, see if we can do some good, to, geez, he's got some money to make, to, geez, who knows how good this horse is? I have no idea. But he is very, very good right now. Now he's in a brand new tough spot on Monday. I'm going to be watching carefully. A number of things going through my mind. 1, is he getting up too high in Ontario? 2, does he need a rest at some point? And 3, is there a better place for him? Can we move him to Ohio? He liked Ohio. He loved Jason's barn. Can we move him to Ohio, Pennsylvania? I think we'll stay away from Plain Ridge in New York for now. But Ohio, Pennsylvania, is there something there? If there's a place for us to do some damage, great. If it just looks like he's going to be really up against some tough miles over the next little while, then it may be time to look at even a rest for him before he tells us he needs a rest, because what we're looking for is June and July off, bring him back in August, or June and first part of July off, have him ready for the end of August so he is razor sharp throughout the fall. Who knows what kind of damage this horse can do, but I can tell you one thing. I see him all the time in the barn. These are the horses I love. The ones with a little grit to them, the ones that want to put out. And when you sit behind Patrick, especially hearing the stories from where he came from and what he was like there to what he is now, his mental acuity has immensely grown. But horses will do that when they get on a roll and get some confidence in them. He's starting to feel good, look good. He's just turned into a good horse. So I'm going to keep a very close eye on LD's Patrick. Another Patrick that raced great the other day, Patrick the Piranha A. Now, Mark had made some calls and talked to Nick Drennan about the horse, said, hey, what's the scoop with Patrick? I knew Nick Drennan. I drove for him, and knowing how hard he trains on horses, I just assumed that was his program. But in hindsight, it wasn't. He was actually very easy on him. He said he did some swimming, light jogging, light training with the horse. The horses from Australia are different. The way they train, the way they're brought up, the way they are, they're different. They're not geared like Western horses. And you have to take that into consideration sometimes. So that message that I got was relayed to Mark Beckwith through Mark, my brother. And obviously the horse looked good. Now he was in really cheap the other day, but quite frankly, looked very, very good. 27 flat in the end of a mile, 52-1. He's picked a win in the 20,000 class, so he has a path right back to where we were hoping he would be. But this is important. This is why the stable is the way it is the flexibility, the fluidity in the stable. If he's not doing it in Ontario, find a spot for him. Same as we've talked about with these other horses. We have the ability to move them anywhere, at any point. And that is vitally important. So Patrick the Piranha, racing fantastic. Looked great. Stonebridge Simba looked good the other day for Mark Beckwith in Saratoga. He's in to go today at 2:20. Very happy with him. And overall, really, we had a very big week. We talked about Taiwan On, Bolt Power, how Boss raced, how all these horses were. But Procrastinator was absolutely fantastic this week. And I told James this, and he's like, yeah, I know. I saw him train down. James thought he knew the horse. I said, he's no joke. Now, James didn't like the way he's hung up because James is being James. And I told him, I said, he's just green. Treat him like it's his first start. He cleared to the front. He went to sleep. Somebody came and picked him off. That's not that shocking. If you look at this horse and just say, hey, this was one of his first starts, even though it wasn't, it would make more sense to you. This horse has come a long way. I got a ton of respect for Procrastinator. Now, I don't know. I don't even know if he puts out 105% yet. I don't know. But I know one thing. I saw the fluoroscopes when he was a baby about 2 months after we got him. They weren't great. He has some issues. He's overcome all of those issues. Turned into a nice horse. For him to come first over and be second in 53 the other night, it's a big mile for a young horse. A very, very big mile, and I was extremely impressed with Procrastinator. We're starting to get our horses back now in Ohio. Jimmy's in this week. I'm going to drive him on Wednesday. Starting to see his weight count come down to normal now. We got a couple of training miles into him. He might need a start or two. I'm not really sure where that weight count came from or what it really was. There was no obvious infections on him. It wasn't in his lungs. So it's very weird that weight count jumped the way it was. Maybe it was just a bug. I don't know. But it's come down now and it looks good. So he is in this week. The mile from Purple Aura was good the other day. A lot of people said, listen, she draws the outside. She's trying to race her way. Again, I hate using this term, but race her way back into shape. And she looked good the other day. Closed up strong. She's getting close. I don't know if this is the week you can drop the hammer on her, but it's coming. It's coming very soon. And then 1-2, skip a few. I mean, that was an incredible mile from that filly. First over in 57. I haven't seen that from her. Gritty, but I've seen the grit every time I've ever raced her. The toughness. Tony dropped her back in. I'm like, maybe. And then gave her room down the lane and shot through the inside. She's a nice horse. She's a good horse. And she's going to get better and better and better. And then, of course, we raced Levator. Now, a few little issues this week. They scoped Levator after the race, and he showed his airway being shut off. Now, I watched the race 3 times. I don't see where James shut his air off. I just don't see it. It could have been shut off in the warm-up. Could have been shut off the day before. He's the type of horse where, this horse that almost ran away with me in Northfield, and no issues. Usually horses shut their air off. You got to be careful with them not to pull on them. This guy was extremely bully every time I raced him and never had any issues with shutting his air off. So I'm a little surprised to see that bruising in his airway. This isn't a huge thing, but it has to be treated. Usually they'll inject it after he races, take the swelling out of it, go easy with him on the track. Now, I've seen Cindy jog this horse on the track. There's no signs that he's shutting his air off there. So it must be these training miles or warm-up miles at the track. And not to blame anybody, it happens. I wasn't told of the horse being rowdy at all, but the scope is pretty clear. He shut his air off. So I'll be back. I'll go with Levator this week myself. Very happy with the way Levator has been. Unhappy with the way he raced the other night. But when you factor in 56, 2 moves, and he shut his air off, at some point he had his air shut off. A decent mile. We just haven't got this guy back on a roll yet. We will. And then obviously Glariam, man, she just continues to frustrate. Schooled her in 56. She was ready to go. Really excited about Monday night. A little upset that I wasn't there. James picked over, but I don't blame him, and there's nothing I can do. They went to train her Saturday, and she tied up. So again, I think I know the culprit. Looking back at her past performance, I think it's breeding season. Right? I really do. The weather and breeding season. This filly is tied up a couple of times. There's studs in her barn, and for whatever reason, last March, in May and April, she struggled quite a bit. This year, at the same time, she struggled quite a bit. When I look at that information, and I know how careful and meticulous Dominic is with this mare, I'm pretty sure I know what it is. She's coming into heat, coming into season, and it's a real problem for Maris. So it'll be the last year we have that problem. Hopefully, if she has the final part of the year the way we hope, she'll be in full herself next year. We'll see. But Aglariam did tie up. She's not going to race on Monday. She's going to be scratched, and we're going to have to get that AST down. So it's a frustrating problem, but there's nothing I or anybody else can do about it. As I said to Dominic, this mare has been bothering me since she was a yearling with this tying up. It's a problem, but it's one that we are doing the best we can. But, as horsemen will tell you, anybody that tells you I can train a horse that ties up, either he's misinformed, he or she, or a lunatic, because there is a million ways a horse can tie up, and it just seems like every time you turn one stone over, oh, there's another one over there. The weather, the horse is in season. It could be a million things, and it's just very, very, very frustrating. But it is what it is. So we're gonna push forward, soldier through again. Now we're coming to the end of breeding season throughout June, so hopefully we can get her through there. If I see any signs of her being laboring, I might even just kick her out in the field for a few weeks and focus on the latter part of the summer. There's really nothing we can do. It just is one of those things. A couple of more decisions made this week. We retained Isa 10, as I said I would. I didn't even watch the sale, and I don't know what her final bid was, but we had retained the filly, and she'll be in foal to, we're going to put her in foal to International Money as soon as we can. We had her checked a week away from breeding. Now, the other filly, Twinkle in Her Eye, that we were going to breed, was immediately ready to breed. We had the semen for Poppy Rob Hanover sent to Ontario, and she was bred the afternoon after they ultrasounded her and found a massive follicle in her. So, as a layman, big egg, semen, should be in full. But that's not always how it works, I guess. So, Twinkle in Her Eye has been bred to Poppy Rob Hanover, and we hope she's in full. Isa 10 will be bred in another week or so to International Money, and again, hope she's in full. We had some complications this week. I don't want to get into it with another mare, and it was really frustrating and depressing. But the good news came away. So we had lost Dewey Ann. She colicked really bad after she had given birth to her foal, and thankfully there was a beautiful Sweet Lou mare there that had a foal, and she's now taken on both foals. So a pretty impressive thing. I'm learning as I go along too. I didn't even know that could happen. The mare has two foals now. So Dewey Ann's daughter and the Sweet Lou foal both have a mom in the Sweet Lou mare. I don't even know the name of the mare, to be honest. As I said, a few issues this week. Levator was one, Aglariam tied up. We had some horses to the vet. Now, Grace, you guys knew that she had colicked a little bit last week. Not bad. Her blood showed it also. There was something going on there, but it's come down now. I trained her by herself in 57 the other day. Then we had some vet work done. So for our clients, my partners on Grace, there is a vet bill sitting in there, one for treatment for colic, and two, we did have her knees and hocks done. So as you guys know, from time to time, I try to stay on top of this, but if I'm not informed all the time, it's hard. The vet bill for Grace will be a little bit higher this week. But again, these aren't things that happen every week. This maintenance should probably last her well into the summer. So she'll be ready to go for next week, I suspect. I wanted to have her in, obviously, on Monday. It didn't go. They're going to train her a slow mile on slow mile yesterday. She trained. They said she trained good. Yes. And we'll come back Tuesday with another slow mile for her, and she'll race Thursday. So it's okay. That's 8 days. It's not the big deal. But the most important thing was to get a few little indicators in that blood down, which I think they did. So she'll be ready to go. One horse that is concerning, I told you how Stay Close schooled like an absolute monster the other day. He did. I'm trying to grapple with this. So every horse is different. We took his blood the day after he schooled. He schooled like a monster, and his liver count was high, really high. Like not as high as Crew Chief's was, or not as high as some of the other horses were, but it was high. So we immediately started treating this liver issue, but it got me to thinking, there's no way that liver jumped that day. He must have schooled with it elevated to some point. So as I said to my partners, and I said to you, I think Stay Close is sitting on a massive mile. In the back of my mind, I'm wondering, I don't know what kind of mile he's going to be able to go with his liver that high. I'm interested. I'm less confident he's going to go a massive mile on Monday, but I'm super interested to see what's going to take place. Now, we've been treating him with the pills we've talked about. I think we're just running out of them, and they just show shipped on the website. So I'm interested to see, he's been treated and he'll be treated right up till Monday. One, we're going to draw his blood and look at that count again for Monday evening. But two, I want to see how he races. Because historically speaking, we had to give Oso Pine time off when his jumped. White Tiger, time off. Horses that have raced terrible, he drew their blood, their GGT was lower than his was the other day, and they raced terrible. And this horse goes out and trots the way he did. He's got my full attention on Monday. I'm very, very interested to see what's going to happen here. And then we had 4 babies to the vet the other day. Nothing important found. Who were they? Cutie Cumber, where they had the OCD out of a hawk. The hawk was filled up. It always did, but we're keeping a close eye on it. Nothing really found there. Marshall Zukov, as I suspected, had an OCD hidden away in his left hind ankle. Melissa did not think it was in an operable position, so they shocked it and injected it. Looked at his front knees, I believe, also. So she thought he'd be fine from that. But again, he'll tell us. We go to fire him back up in another 2 weeks, and you see him with those rolly struggles, the struggling in the mile, that rolly gait. We may have to be forced to take that OCD out. But as she thought, looking at the x-rays that she thought that she was looking at, she didn't see any reason to remove that OCD. So he injected it and injected his front knees. I think he's ready to go now. Oh my gosh, nothing really found him except his feet. She found a lot of pressure in his coffin joints, so we were forced to switch his shoes around to a flip-flop. Now, he hasn't had a flip-flop on before, and he had an open-toe shoe because he was interfering behind. So I'm not sold on this idea, but we do have to take care of the horse first. So regardless if I think he can trot with them on, we have to try him with them on because we're trying to take a lot of that pressure, alleviate a lot of the pressure in his feet. So we'll see if that helps. And Sir Strong, just maintenance with him. Lower hocks and knees were a little... You're going to see trotters. You're going to see knees in the summertime. You got to work on them. You got to stay ahead of them. If they show signs of wear and tear, either back or back off and inject them. So we opted to inject them for Sir Strong and his lower hocks. Looking back at his mile, I could see now he trained great 3-4 days before we went to Mohawk. First day with 2 trips. I'm still not sold on those shoes not having a problem, so we are going to switch them. But the vet didn't say anything. No concerns with any of those 4. So for the most part, with maintenance, 4 horses, 4 babies went to the vet. Oh my gosh, clean bill of health, ready to go. Marshall Zukov, OCD in the left hind ankle, but she didn't think it was going to be an issue. It was injected and shocked. Cutie Cumber had a hawk injected in her knees. She found a splint. I believe she said just paint it for now, and we'll see how it comes. And Sir Strong, again, just maintenance stuff. So those horses were worked on, and now they are ready to go. Upcoming this week, what do we got going on? Bomb Hugger is got the 6-hole and a 6-horse race. Again, draws the outside on a half-mile track. Not really happy about that. I hope she gets a chance to race. I hope Mark gets along well with her. Corey, and they're going to race her Monday night at Yonkers Raceway. Slim Jimmy is racing this week. I'm going to drive him. Taiwan On is going to make her stateside debut Saturday in the Pennsylvania Sire Stakes. Blue Bayou Dio is back now. She was sick. I think that Unbeatable Kemp was sick in New Jersey. I really think he did. He is. These are horses that traveled together, trained down together. One became really sick. The other one went to New Jersey and raced like crap. So you tell me. We'll see. Blue Bayou Dio, as I said, will be in to go Thursday. Also, I hope that they separate those classes for her and Grace. Otherwise, I'll be a little miffed. But it is what it is. Both Patrick the Piranha and LD's Patrick will race tomorrow night. Stay Close, obviously, races tomorrow night. I don't have all of them in front of me. I guess I could quite easily just go like that. Open the stable app. Where's that at? The stable apps here, something right there. Yeah, and then I can just go down and I'll know exactly who's racing this week. Now, I noticed that Curtis is... Mark Campbell's horse is here from Ontario, or from PEI. He's racing Monday in London. Southwind Arturo. Stonebridge Simba race day. Yes, races tonight also. So first start back for Yes. Can't wait to see him. Aglarium, unfortunately, will be scratched. Bomb Hugger. Big mile coming up for her, hopefully. Again, 6-hole and a half-mile track. Can't do much with that. We'll try. I'm sure Mark and Corey will. LD's Patrick's racing on Monday. Stay Close is racing Monday. Patrick the Piranha on Tuesday. And then, of course, we have the horses on in Ohio. Frosty Trouble and Slim Jimmy. And then I'll get Dustin Hanover behind the gate Thursday morning. I'll head back to Ontario Thursday afternoon and then we'll go from there with Dustin. If we plan on racing Dustin in the Meadows, then he'll go that way. We plan on bringing him home to Ontario, then he'll go that way. But all that will be hinging on what I see and what I want to do with the horse after I get a good look at him on Monday. So I think that's a pretty good opening, guys. You know, you got a real good look at what we're trying to do at the stable. We've sold some horses over the last 2 weeks. We continue to bring horses back in. Now, first glance, obviously, we brought back because we knew him well, and I thought the price was right. We bought him for $17,200, I think, which yearly I think is the exact same price we paid for Levitor. No, Levitor was $17,400, I think. But first glance has a spot 2 race in Ontario. We want to make sure that we get this race into him at Northfield. He might come back this week. He might come back in a week or so, but he'll be coming back to Ontario, and he will be going to Mario's barn. Dustin Hanover, I thought, was an interesting proposition. As I said to our clients and you guys and people we talked about with this horse in particular, if I'm wrong, I don't think I'm really wrong, and if I'm right, we could be really right with this guy, and that is the main reason I purchased him. There was a lot to do there. The owner's statement looked honest and true to me, that this was not a horse for John Fielding and Nifty Norman. I completely believe them. So when we get the horse back, we'll take a look at him. For a long game stretch for this horse, this might be a guy for us, and I think he was. So it made all the sense in the world to buy him. Frosty Trouble's been training great, I'm told, and ready to go on Wednesday. So bringing horses in that are going to help us, while at the same time maybe moving some out that haven't really done what they need to for us, made all the sense in the world. So I'm not going to bring you the barns this week. I'm not going to break them all down. I don't know where my phone is. My other phone that I have all the stables on, I must have left it in Ontario. I thought I brought it with me. But I will talk about the 2 and 3 year olds, and I'll be back to do that real quick in just a minute.